Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Miss David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, and I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings in the universe. It is no the last day of November currently, and I'm hoping that all of y'all have survived the Thanksgiving weekend, and that in your world it was a good weekend as well as could take place. You know, we've all got different circumstances, so it's difficult for us to. My Thanksgiving was actually on Saturday. Um, Friends and neighbors got together and had a shindig over at my friend's house, and went over and shared it with some his chillins and wife and friends and aunts and uncles and fathers and in-laws and things and stuff. Thanksgiving wasn't on Thursday, but it was on Saturday. But it was still over the weekend, and it was still a nice meal. We all got together and prayed together, and were gracious and thankful, and we all had um, some good meal and shared. And unfortunately, I couldn't eat too much because I had to go on a diet because I had my colonoscopy yesterday. So I can't believe they take pictures of the inside of your colon and etc. But anyway, hey Barry, how are you? But anyway, the topic for tonight, I ain't going to talk about my colonoscopy. I crapped all over myself. This stuff that you have to, the prep that you have to take for this. The colonoscopy part was in and out, I guess, kind of sort of literally, um, but that prep stuff that you got to take beforehand for 18 hours of misery and Lord have mercy, and they want me to come back next year and do another one. Hey, Diane, how are you? But anyway, enough about me in that respect. But this particular subject that I would like to discuss this morning, tonight. Hey, Joe, I just had an idea. When all of us are passed on, let's all have one huge Thanksgiving dinner. I'll ask my family members. Sounds good to me, Joe. Honestly, sounds good to me. Let's all get together and and be happy. But since my heart attack, I have had a little bit different points of view, and I talked with a friend of mine. Also, my brother had gallbladder surgery that they're like, you got to go now, kind of thing. Um, and I heard from him, and as our favorite slogan goes between us, we ain't dead yet. But in discussing, good and evil, the fight in the world is all about good and evil. It's religious, it's in the universe, it's the yin and yang, right? Um, that's true. So for most of my adult life, I've been a hippie. Still am, kind of, sort of, in that my hair is long, but I got it tucked in right now. But um, in that, make love, not war, peace, peace, everybody. Okay. But then during the peace demonstration, Kimba M, hey, how are you? And cheers right back to you too. I'll bring. Oh my God, Joe, deviled eggs. That was the other thing that I had for Thanksgiving because I can't make them deviled eggs. Oh, thank you, new sub. I was wondering. I didn't recognize your name. Hey, everybody in the chat, say hi and welcome, Kimba. We like new people. We like folks to come in and hang out with us. So you're absolutely welcome. But the deviled eggs, oh Lord, have mercy. I can't make deviled eggs, but them folks who make them make really good ones. And so the first thing that I saw, the first thing I saw and put on my plate was I looked down and nobody saw me because I kind of looked left or right as I'm going down the counter, getting my plate of food. And I saw them deviled eggs, and my eyes, I know, got this big around because I was like, "Oh, sweet Jesus!" There's, oh my God, oh look, oh deviled eggs, holy crap! Yum, 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 yum. Oh my goodness gracious, yeah, deviled eggs. You bring them, I'll eat them. Is who said, "Oh, yeah, the VA Rooter Clinic had a nurse in my clinic mining patients, got her eye on me. She thought I needed a colon checkup. She needed a head check." Well, the nurse that put me out, she had that sexy librarian look to her. She had horn rim glasses, just glasses, nothing special. But she was a pretty girl, let me tell you. She was a lovely lady. And I'm laying there going, "Oh my goodness gracious," trying not to be obvious. And Mr. Null, I'm gonna put you to sleep now. And I was thinking to myself, what a nice way to go to sleep, And she's pushing that stuff in, and well, we'll see you. We'll see you when you wake up, which was a lie. She wasn't there. That's all gone. But dang it, I wanted one more look. But I'm sorry. But she was a lovely lady, and you know, out I went. And the next thing I knew, I woke up 2 hours later, and get ready to go home, which was interesting. I mean, your lights go out. I mean, I remember in the old days when I've had operations on my neck and on my leg, and you've seen in the movie is like, all right, Mr. Smith, count backwards from 100. So in that respect, it was like, okay, Mr. No, count backwards from 100. I was thinking to myself, wow, if I started counting, I'd get, I was gone. I just thought about counting backwards and I was out. So, but anyway, but to the discussion and to stay on topic, this thing about good and evil has been plaguing me all of most of my 70 years. And so I'm thinking to myself, that to get rid of evil, with all of us good people need to get together and let's drive evil off of the planet. And my spirit guide folks are going, it ain't going to happen, Dave. Well, why not, guys? Because it's yin and yang. You have to have light and darkness. Now, the old story, about the two wolves, is conflict inside this young brave. Now, it's told slightly different between the tribes, but it means the whole thing, the same thing. So there are two wolves, white one and the black one, representing good and evil. And so they're fighting. And inside each person are two wolves. And they're fighting each other to do good or to do bad or whatever. It's our conscience. And so the young brave asked the grandfather, he asked the elder, so which one wins? And grandfather looks at me and says, the one you feed. So the good or the evil in each of us. I took a bunch of wrong turns in my life, but thank goodness I wasn't a serial killer or anything like that. But to what the rest of the world would consider it, I did some evil things. I peddled drugs, um, from state to state and around, and mostly to friends, like 90. 8% of it was to friends and people who had need of the drugs that I had. So, but was it evil? Well, I kind of looked at it as a business proposition. Now there are people making millions of dollars off of selling marijuana. Well, I got put in jail for it, you know, ironically, you know. So, wrong place, wrong time. But to the point, though, some would consider that what I did, especially back in the day, was evil because I was growing marijuana. Now it's like, yeah, okay. So, there are different levels of evil or badness. You go, what you talking about, Hawkeye? Well, this is what I mean. There are people who write bad checks. There are people who swindle people. And then there are people who go and shoot other people. There are people who murder and stab and cut folks up and do just really nasty crimes. Okay. So, but stealing somebody's money or embezzlement or writing bad checks or something like that is nowhere near the level of evil as somebody who's stabbing and killing and doing Hitler kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So you say, well, wait a minute, but it's all bad. Yeah, okay. An easy deviled egg recipe is to boil the egg, cut it in half, scoop the yolk, mix. Oh, it's mayonnaise that it's mixed with, and then put the mix in the egg white. I understand. I used to help my grandma do it. Steve, you've been on my mind. I was going to call you earlier today, and it's the day after the colonoscopy, and I'm just kind of still not quite back to planet Earth in a way. But anyway, but yeah, deviled eggs. I just haven't been. I can't boil eggs worth of shit. I mean, I can't get the shell off. I'm just a bumble when it comes to deviled eggs. But I love them, and I thank the people who make them, and always bow in honor of them making them for me. Even though they make them for everybody, there was a whole plate of them suckers, and it was in my mouth, and it was gone before I knew it. But anyway, devil, evil. Okay, so in a lot of ways, evil in this day and age, and for a long time, has always been attributed to the devil. Now, let me tell you, there were times in my life way back when I swiped some things, stole a few things, pawned a few things that I stole, and because I was really good at it. I was good at sleight of hand. I got caught one time as J.C. Fields swiping an album. Um, you know, didn't go to jail. They didn't call the police, but I was on probation at the house for a long time. Um, and I swore I wouldn't steal again, which I did, but not from stores or anything after that. But I went through a period where, if I could get away with it, I did. So is that evil? Stealing from a corporation? Well, we swiped a couple of things from some folks from their houses, or we swiped a canoe one time right out of somebody's backyard. It was sitting on two um, um, sawhorses, and we reached over the fence and stole that mow. And I had a cousin die yesterday morning, so I've been very sorry, Steve. I just knew you were really on my mind yesterday and today. Uh, Yesterday I was really out of it because of the procedure, but today I should have called you earlier today, but um, I did dirty on some stuff yesterday from my prepping, and I had to do cleanup, and so. But anyway, I'm sorry, Steve, and prayers to you and the family. I think I said hi, Michelle, didn't I? If I didn't, hi, Michelle. I hope it doesn't come in threes. Which Moon, I don't know why your comments have to be approved. Just interesting. But anyway, hi, Witch Moon. How you doing? So, but with this, to stay on topic, this thing about good and evil. So, at first, I was like, I've all my life I have prayed and meditated and fasted and bled, and done ceremony to get rid of evil. Well, but wait a minute now, Hawkeye. Yes, brothers and sisters, to my spirit guides, plural. Um, there are different levels of bad. What? Hawkeye, there are different levels of bad. There is, you know, petty larceny, where you just steal something and it's, not above a certain amount. Anything less than $1,000 or five, I don't know what the amount is a misdemeanor versus being a felony. Um, oh, they found us again. I'm gonna get one, you get one, and report. Isby, how you doing? So anyway, so in the discussion about, well, the light and dark. Well, um, we can't get rid of all the evil. Well, why not? Well, because of yin and yang. There's got to be a balance. Yeah, but what about horrific, abductions and murders and people cutting people up and, Jeffrey Dahmer kind of bullshit, Um, wait a minute now. Well, that's a different level of evil. Well, now we all got to accept that. Yeah, you're right. So in our system, stealing from somebody, and I'm thinking writing bad checks or whatever, or quote breaking the law in some way or fashion. And a lot of times, if you break the law, you've hurt someone, right? Or at least if you get a speeding ticket, you could hurt somebody. Okay. So, but anyway, but oh, it's almost 1:10. Y'all get your bowls ready because I'm ready. Oh, they tried it again and I missed it. Good for you, Barry. Thank you. I got both. I always do report and then pornography and then okay and then remove, I think. So, in the balance of the universe, I'm thinking, what if we were all just, because I'm all about, hey, come on, let's be happy. Let's look at the world and its, whatever's in the chaos, and let's see if we can't find something to be happy about. Don't worry, be happy now. Here's a little song I wrote. I'm gonna sing it note for note. Don't worry, to be happy. Y'all sing along now. Don't worry, be happy now. Ooh, do, 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 do. Don't worry. Do, 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 do. Be happy. Do, 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 do. Don't worry now. Be happy now. Da, 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 da. You get the idea, right? So, anyway, sing along. Get that little thing in your head. In that, but it's horrible that, Steve's, was it cousin? Anyway, Steve's relative died. That works without being Pacific. Um, but the idea, though, that even at the death of someone, um, we can, say, and we do. Well, they're in a better place now. Well, they won't, and there won't be suffering anymore. I mean, all the little cliche words that you try to, say when someone passes. I've been to a bunch of funerals in my daytime, and some in the evening too. But we're sorry for your loss, and we are. We are empathetic. And oh, I missed what somebody said, but so in this idea of what she had a heart attack. That's going to be the way I go, Barry. Steve. Wait, come on, go back up. What happens to evil people after they die? I don't know. Will they get deleted from existence? Will they be put into a permanent abandonment? I don't know. Um, from the way it kind of sort of, for me, as they were putting it, in that if you can be recycled. So if you've been a Hitler or a Dahmer or somebody, or you've just been maybe you haven't really killed anyone, but you beat people up and you lead a gangster kind of life, and maybe you shot at a person or two and maybe even wounded them or something, and so, and there's the mob kind of gangster kind of thing, to where you're roughhousing people and taking their money, and so, but you haven't killed anybody, but you've hurt a bunch. you know you've taken advantage of people. One way or the other, it hurts them. So, in the law of one, which really is the basic law of the universe, in the law of one, we say to do no harm. So, but depending on the evil that they've done, do they get a second chance? Well, in the idea of reincarnation, now, there is a lot of, for those of us who have watched Dante, over the many years as I have, and watched what he said and so forth, in that, we are presented with life everlasting. Amen. Okay. So if life everlasting, so is it in the other world, or do you get a chance of reincarnation? So if you were an evil person and you had bad vibes or whatever, your soul, it might take you longer to come back. You might have to stay in the other world or netherworld and just not be in this, I'll call it a 3D reality. Okay. So your hell is you don't get to come back. You got to float out there in the universe somewhere. And it may be heaven, it may be hell. It may be neither, it just might be neutral. Okay. Which yesterday's experience of being put out and then waking up 2 hours later to, what was that? You know, nothingness, just zip, right? Um, whoa. So is hell, now there are those discussions about hell, in that hell is the lack of anything. So it's like there's literally nothing. It ain't dark, it ain't white, it's nothing. It's just nothing. So that's hell because, you don't get any kind of, you can't see anything, smell, hear, touch, feel, nothing. That's hell. Hell could be the lack of love because even Hitler, you know, there were those folks who loved him. Yeah, I can't imagine a granddaughter either. I really. And now I lost a nephew. My sister's youngest son died from just, I guess it's been about 10 years now. But he had flu-like symptoms. Went to the hospital like on a Friday. He was sick like Wednesday, came home sniffling, thirsty, running a fever. Friday he went to the hospital, and by Tuesday he was dead. Just got sicker, and that was that. And they determined it was some very rare, one in 10,000 or 50,000 people get this thing. And by the time they could figure out what it was, he was already so severe they couldn't treat him. But anyway, so we did lose, my nephew, and he was, not even 30 years old. He was in his mid 20s, but anyway. But so stuff does happen, and it's a shame. It really is. And but anyway, is it evil? There are some folks who would blame God for this. In that, well, some evil thing gave her a heart attack, or some evil essence, or there are those folks who would try to put a connection to evil or the devil or something. Well, if she'd have been a better person or something like that. Ooh, there goes one. I got the second one. Report pornography, report, and okay. Okay, there. All right. It says Michelle got them. It don't never give me credit. That's all right. I don't care as long as they're gone. But so anyway, so first we have to look at the levels of evil. Now in the Catholic Church, um, there are mortal sins and there are venial sins. So the mortal ones are killing and rape and really bad stuff. Venial sins are pickpocket, maybe had a fight with somebody, maybe you broke somebody's arm or something. That's on the edge of being a mortal sin. But mortal sins have to do with dying. It's hard, but people are meant to leave when they go. Yeah, or when they do. Yeah. When the bell rings and it's your time, that's it. I agree. You know, having been too close to death, and they want me to come back into the cardiologist because I've been having chest pains. And I take my pulse and everything seems to be okay. But, they're really worried I'm going to have a heart attack out here. And I'm like, well, the nurses asked me yesterday, um, are you afraid to be alone? And I was like, what sort of question is that? And hey, Alex, how you doing? I think I stole candy from a candy store or a store once. Oh, I did more than that. I had sticky fingers. I really did. If I looked around and there wasn't nobody looking, that puppy was gone. Now, it wasn't like I had piles of candy, but swipe a piece or something. Yeah, yeah. I got to admit, my earlier days, I went through some thievery and I have regretted it. And, several years ago, I was like, man, I wished I could go back and repay that. So I have given money away. I've had money stolen from me. I've had other items stolen from me over the years. And as much as I want to be pissed off about it, I realize it's just karma coming back on me. You know, if I stole something from somebody else, 50 some years ago, and this is just payback. So, but anyway, of course, that's my point of view on the matter. But um, how close are we to? Oh, we missed the 20 mark. Nobody said. We were all saying hi to everybody. Well, 20. So back when I was growing up, that's the devil weed. It's the evil weed. And if you've ever watched Reefer Madness, you see that guy sitting in the stall and he's just a lapping and a giggling and smoking that a weed, and that is devil. And that's why it's a class, whatever it is, felony. That's why that chopper that was flying over me with that high powered rifle aimed at me for growing marijuana, you know, um, it's absurd. But anyway, but the levels of evil. So now I had 8 plants, I think, 6 or 8, I can't remember. So I 8 plants that were, you know, barely alive and, barely had anything on them. And I'm being, arrested with a helicopter over my head and a high powered rifle. And, the GBI, which is the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, come crashing through the weeds and arrest me. And off I go to jail. So, now that evil, which is sort of state organized evil, that I was growing that vicious marijuana. And now there are people who grow it legally in the state. So it's like, okay, things have changed, but at one time something was evil and now it ain't. So, in this idea of everything is evil, or if it's against the law, it must be, quote, evil at some point. Where if you're speeding 5 miles over the speed limit, you're breaking the law, but is it evil? I mean, so we have to consider what do we mean by evil. Now, in this scenario of, all right, now that spirits have given me this conversation to discuss with myself before I have it with y'all, is that okay? So there can be darkness, but it doesn't have to be pitch darkness. I mean, what if there wasn't a moon? And what if there weren't any stars? What if the night sky was just black? It would be weird. It would just simply be weird. But no starlight, no moonlight, no, it just black. So even in the darkness of the universe, there's still light. You follow me? So, oh, but the universe is black. A lot of it is. Or the absence of light is darkness, right? So, but is the absence of light is darkness, yes. But does that make it evil? Is darkness, which is, a lot of evil is done in the nighttime and ooh, all the scary stories at 12 o'clock and and okay, okie dokie. But there's some evil stuff goes on during the daytime too, right? I mean, business deals and just stuff. But does darkness represent evil? Well, in the stories, it does, right? The good and the bad, the white, the black, the daylight, the darkness. Okay. But so in the universe of all the darkness, there's light, there's starlight, there's sunlight, there's light from, if you've ever seen through a telescope a distant galaxy. You've seen them in picture books and stuff, but I mean, and so have I, but with my own telescopes and stuff, you can spot, especially when you go looking for them, you can spot the different M classes and other classes of galaxies. And when you can see them for yourself, they're tiny little specks, but you can see the galaxy on edge or it's turned up this way. And it might not be like in the picture books, but you yourself can see them. When you realize that way out there somewhere is a whole nother galaxy, it's a little cloudy thing in your telescope, but by God, it's there. The billions of stars and planets and space debris but to the point though, even in the deepest space, they're still fine. Now they've been looking into really ultra deep space, and it's kind of pitch black out there. Doesn't mean there ain't nothing there. It just there isn't enough light to gather. So, but here's the thing: in the darkness of the universe, there is all of these things that give light. So, regardless of how we want to look at the light, even on Mars and even on the moon, there's life. Okay, it might be microscopic, organic type of something, but there's life. There's a harmony with the universe in that if the moon just vibrates like Mother Earth does, and we picks up energy even more so than the Earth does because the moon has its atmosphere is so thin. Hey, Miss Pearl, how you doing? My dear friend, how are you? Um, the universe is all light. We just can't see most of it. But so anyway, so the idea that in the stories, legends, light, dark, all right? So in each of us, we have two wolves, one representing good, one representing bad. So, grandfather, which one wins? The one you feed. So if you feed the good side, then you'll have a good, well, your life might be difficult, but you'll have a good life in that you're trying to promote good. You want to be good. I mean, I gave up my evil ways, and instead of trying to steal stuff from folks, I've been giving stuff away. I have an angel that was given to me years ago that sits on top of a Christmas tree, and I don't do Christmas trees in the house. I have Christmas trees in my yard. And I'm not into decorating them because it makes them feel bad. It's gaudy to them, the trees. So, but anyway, I've got this, and it's an antique angel, white angel, this tall. I can see it from sitting here. And, you know, it's fragile, but I would like to give it to somebody who has that kind of feeling, you know, a, a woman who has that anyway. So when I was over having Thanksgiving dinner, I looked around and I saw, and I was like, ooh, she's got that, and oh, look there. And I was like, now I know who to give the angel to. So, but anyway, um so instead of stealing stuff from folks or coveting things like I did a long time ago, now I'm like, that person there, I want to give this to them. This person would like this. When Michael was here, there were some video games and a book or something anyway, and he was into that kind of stuff, and I said, here, you can have them. Really? Yeah. I don't know. It was a bunch of stuff. He boxed it up and sent it back to his home in West Virginia. But to the point, no, here you go. No, I'm giving this to you. Really? Yeah, here you go. So, and I give away things to folks because I want to, but I'm not, now I'm not anyway. I just do it because it's what spirit wants me to do. But I'm not, I don't know whether or not I paid my dues for those things that I've stolen. Um, I, it ain't about that. I gave up thinking about that. Like, whoa, I'm going to do this because I'm trying to pay back the person that I stole from. I I think it's somewhere in my psyche, but it's not in my current thoughts. I just do it. You know, here you go. Blah blah blah. Oh, this person needs this. Blah blah blah. There have been times when I've given people money. you know they've tried to deny it. Oh, keep it, no 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 no, and one way or the other it goes in a pocket, it goes in a book, and they open the book and go, oh, there's $20. That son of a bitch Dave, I told him not to give me any money, and there's $20 he stuck in the, things like that, right, that I've done and will continue to do when the spirit moves me. But to the point though, um I don't do it to wash away a sin, okay? It's not to pay back, but it is. But it's also because they feel that these folks need this. There was something I helped a friend out, and I gave them a little token, okay, for their trip. And they were like, what? And I said, here, roll one up, take it with you, you know, and but didn't ask me, but I offered because I knew didn't have anything, and so I was like, um, I can't help you a lot, but here, roll one up for yourself, at least. And so I've done that with a lot of people, because folks in the past were good and kind to me, but I see that, somebody's going to be on the road, or somebody, that smokes like has been smoking for years and they're out. And like me, and I've been where, I scrape the bottom of the bowl, and, we used to smoke in a bong, and we, take the bong water out and run it through a strainer of a coffee strainer, and then take that and put it in the microwave to dry it out, and then smoke that. Oh my God, oh my God, that's horrible. But I mean, back in the day, that when we ran out, that's what we did. So these days, if I've got enough for myself and I see somebody without, I it's just natural for me to go, here, have one, if I can. So, but anyway, with that said, though, is that a good thing, or is that because people think that smoking is still like some kind of evil thing? Um, I would say crystal meth and all these other things that are on the streets now, with people dropping dead, young folks in their 20s and 30s dropping dead of heart attacks. Yeah, I see it's late, but I'm gonna pull my weight and say it's another 20. Hey, it's my show, damn it. I'm gonna do what I want. Heaven is within us all. Having just yesterday going through, hi, we're gonna put your lights out, punk, and wake you up 2 hours later after the procedure. Is they got to sign a contract, and you got to sign another one for the anesthesiologist, because especially me with the heart condition now. They put you really close to death. I mean, they drop your blood pressure and everything, and they put you, because all these operations on my neck when they did them, had conversations with the doctors and the anesthesiologist, and I knew some of the doctors and some of the folks that worked at the hospital, Archibald. And so we had the conversation, and they go, "No, man, they bring you right on down, and that's why they have you sign that form, just in case they muck up something, or push you too much, or your blood pressure drops while you're going, doctor, doctor, his blood pressure just dropped, or his heart just, you've seen them. Well, that happens in real life. That's why you got to sign your name on that consent form that I signed yesterday twice in two places and initialed one. But anyway, so um, in being under like that and then just waking up 2 hours later is weird. Okay, it's just weird. But consider that when our spirit leaves us, and there's plenty of evidence that our soul, there is a weight, an atomic weight. So you weigh the body before and you weigh the body after, and there's a difference. It ain't a lot. It differs between people and cadavers, but it's there. So something leaves the body. I've seen a spirit rise up out of a woman when she passed away at a nursing home. I've seen my pop sitting up over his bed before we unplugged him, and it's just this white, sort of cloudy, kind of, sort of ghostly, kind of, sort of thing that I have witnessed myself. Other people have described, the spirit leaving the body. Well, here's the thing: if people have literally witnessed the spirit leaving the body, then there is an atomic weight to it. The total number of molecules or atoms or whatever it is that constitutes that spirit. Um, and like the ghost that saved us from the burning house that happened about this time of year. Um, And I thank you, Mr. Croft, for, you know, showing himself to me and waking me up so we could get out of the house, or there'd have been three dead people that night. At least one, anyway, which would have been Bobby Jean, um, my wife's daughter. Um, but so the difference between the light and the dark, in just in general speaking of how people look at it. There are other ways of, it's not really dark, it's just absence of light. And I would agree with that. But I've been down inside the earth, and when you turn off your flashlight, that is some freaking darkness. you, that is darkness. You look up at the night sky, don't care where you are on this planet. It is never as dark as it is in a cave. It just, okay. So having experienced like total darkness inside a cave, and then total darkness outside with stars, much would rather have the stars, you know what I mean? But in that, but there's always, other than being in the earth, there's in the universe, even if you're in another galaxy, or even if you were in between galaxies, you would still see light from the other planets and star systems and whatever. So you got to be in a cave inside a planet to experience total darkness, or one of them rooms that they built. But to the point though, you ain't going to get it floating around in the universe, because there's always going to be some kind of light. So then there is, if you're in the spirit form, so now you're just an atom. You have metamorphosized from your physical 3D body with weight and form and so forth, and you're now in your spiritual form, but there's still a mass to it. So in that mass of one molecule that might be floating around as etherical gas in the universe now has your consciousness in it. It is contained there. So what does it do? Does your consciousness realize that it's floating around in the universe? I have had experiences along with other folks that we kind of, some of us say yes to that we have felt other things in the universe, right? So, but the evil does it seems at times like now that evil's winning out. But here's the thing, it ain't World War II. It isn't that millions of people are dying in death camps. There's the argument that the Ukrainian folks are suffering. Okie doke. There are folks in China that are suffering. Okie doke. There are people all over the planet in some way or another were suffering. Sunday night when I was taking that prep and crapping all over myself, I was suffering big time. Okay. And I had to keep thinking it'll be over tomorrow. It'll be over tomorrow. But Lord have mercy, it's really hard and hurts and uncomfortable and the whole nine yards. But so, I was hurting too, and I'm sure there are people in other places while I'm hurting, I'm thinking, I know there are people in other places that are hurting worse than me. I can do this. I don't like it. I don't want to go through this again. But I had to tough it out because I'd already drunk it, right? So you're kind of sort of committed to the toilet, and at that point, um, is that a Miss Kimba? Not to be rude. Um, oh God, I'm asking gender. Oh man, is that a sin? Oh, yeah, you too, Pearl. Joe says, I remember when I reincarnated, everything from plants, people, and the ground gave off its own light. Each one had its own brightness level. That's a good explanation. Yeah. Sensory deprivation. Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Oh, I was just curious as to what part of the world Kimba was at, just out of curiosity. Um, because I know where some of y'all are generally located in the world. But anyway, just curious. You ain't gonna tell me, you know, nobody's forcing you. Hey Michelle, put a gun to their head. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But so goodness, and so I'm asking the great mystery this question in my meditations, right? So can we overdo it with goodness? I mean, I'm a Libra, so Libras are always supposed to be looking for the balance. So the harmony, the balance, right? In the story that I read tonight about the writer from 1898 wrote the, was writing about the creation story of Native Americans, and that they have, white people always use the word religion, and he always used the word savages, had developed somehow this religion, which is basically their way of life. their respect for the, for the land, the respect for the critters and animals. And you've heard me talk about the different animal stories. I pulled cards and what these animals mean. Buffalo is here, was here to give, food and clothing and tools from its body, its skin, and its bones, and was given freely to the peoples to keep them from starving and to be alive. And so, in the creation stories and about these different animals and so forth, um, it gives purpose. It also gives honor. Instead of worshiping the buffalo, the natives always give honor, but they give honor to all creations and to all critters on all different kinds of levels. So it's just like, you know, um, all right, all four leggeds, all winged creatures, all the insects, as much as I hate cockroaches and mosquitoes. But it is what it is. So, are cockroaches evil, or are they just bugs? Uh, oh, I had to stop and read chat for a minute. Anyway, sorry, drifted off for a second. But anyway, in the fight against evil, good and evil, so can good absolutely win out over evil? And the answer is it depends on the evil. So instead of trying to wipe out evil, like Hitler wanted to wipe out the Jews and a lot of other people too, and ethnic groups and so forth, cleansing, let's start over. And all the people who died in the war, not counting those in the concentration camps and from the result of starvation and so forth. But um, so, we don't have that level going on right now. Now, the powers that be have tried it with the slingshots and, um, the warnings and masks, and the drill. And there has been an increase. There are doctors and people keeping up with this, that there has been an increase in deaths over these last 2 years, especially starting in 2019. So there is the line of deaths that fluctuates a little bit over the last. They've been keeping an eye on how many people die and where and what and whatever. There's it's statistics, and like like in England, the death rate is up. Unexpected deaths, they're calling it. The following story rides with your subject for tonight. What's that story? Oh, you writing it down? A little boy made a bug exoskeleton necklace for his friend who was a humanoid robot. Later, the robot skinned cats for a cat necklace for the boy in return. Was this evil? Yep, good point. That's a very good point. Well, and also too, and Dante brought this up in one of his videos. It's kind of sort of popped it in a couple of his videos, but one where he was just having conversation of kind of sort of about good and evil, because he said, you know, he was born of the Charistas, and the Charistas have these rules and angels, and they're working for the good side. But what if you were born as a mater, or as one, or the Flash? What if you were born into that culture and you were raised that way? And you know that any person who was of the Charistus, was your enemy. Period. No matter how good or bad, they they were just flat out, against the rules. Wow, I just had a flash to a dream I had recently, a couple of weeks ago. Wow, it stopped trying to replay in my head. That's weird. Whoa, that was a pretty vivid dream too. No, I don't want to stop there at the moment, but wow, that it came into my brain right now. That's just weird. Anyway, the brain works in mysterious ways, doesn't it? So, but anyway, so in this good and evil, so is a person who is, you know, um, raised a Vlash hybrid with a family who hates angel people and anybody that's associated with the group, period, kill, 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 kill. And they could be nice to other folks, but they're going to kill, kill, kill because that's their enemy, right? Sort of like the Hatfields and McCoys. Don't care. You a Hatfield? No. But my distant cousin was, then your enemy, you know. So a lot of folks don't know who the Hatfields and McCoys are or the feud thing. But anyway, so if you were raised a Hatfield, then the McCoys were your enemy. So if you're raised a Vlash hybrid, then anybody that's a Charistus or not of your clan, then you're the evil person and not them. So if they're brought up to kill folks or whatever, um, is it evil if you were brought up that way? Where you draw the line as to what is evil? You know, what's a sin? To them, it ain't a sin. You know, they're going to go out and kill them and say, "No, man, that's just there are sworn enemies, and I'm here to protect myself and my family. And there's one of them sons of bitches over there, and how you're dead." Um, before they get a chance to take me out. It's in a way it's sort of like the Wild West in that respect for the Charistus and the Vlash and Monter, right? So, but it affects the rest of us who we don't know who we come from. If it weren't for roaches, the world would be covered in dead, rotting crap. Yeah, well, there are other bugs that eat it other than roaches, but I agree with you. It'd be um, the feud was over a cow, I believe. As I was relating it, my brain was going, was there a cousin and a son? There was a boy and a girl involved in it too. I remember the Hatfield versus McCoy Family Feud. Yeah, up in the Appalachians up there. But anyway, but the idea though that it is, so was either side the evil one, or were both sides evil because they were shooting one another? But in their mind and in their thinking, and I think both of the Hatfields and McCoys, I think they were, they had some Christian in them. It wasn't like they were pagan or, witch worshippers or something like that. They were just, Appalachian folk, hillbillies, if you will. But is it right for one and not for the other? You know, there are folks. I was watching something the other day, and the guy turns to the girl and he goes, "So, how would you like your squid?" Because he's preparing some kind of Japanese dinner, and she said, "In the ocean." And I thought that was a good remark. But I've had calamari before, and I gotta say, That's some pretty interesting stuff and a flavor. But here's the deal: squid and octopus are supposed to be, in a dimensionally speaking, in a way, um, of a higher being, because they can change colors. And oh yeah, but they just live in the ocean. And yeah, but octopus and I can't think of the other one that Dante showed many times on his show, that changes colors. And anyway, can look like a rock as soon as it lands on it. Um, but that there is these are intelligent beings, okay, and we're chopping them up and sautéing them in or putting them in some flour and egg and deep frying them, you know. um and so, in an odd way, because these beings seem to be very sentient, would you well, cows are sentient, right? But they're a little bit on the dumber side, okay. Sheep are on the dumber side. I haven't had any lamb in a good while. Pigs aren't really stupid, all right. They really aren't stupid. I worked at a hog parlor, and the guy that I rented my house from, the one that burned down, I helped him out on the farm, and would go down and pressure wash off the slab and feed up the pigs and so forth. And anyway, no, no. And I didn't eat ham for a long time, and it's not high on my list of meat products that I buy and eat. That was weird. Where'd that noise come from? Anyway, so good and evil. So how do we classify it? So before we can say, well, let's get rid of all the evil, well, people have to be able to make the mistake and have a free choice about stuff. So now here's my new way of looking at this. So rather than and being frustrated at it, right? Oh my God, we're never going to get rid of all this evil, because it just seems to somebody perpetuates another lie, and somebody does something else. Somebody falls off the wagon and goes and does something weird, or just whatever, right? Um, or somebody steals something from someone. Are we ever going to get everybody to not do something like pickpocket, or I mean, are we ever going to get to that state where there's nobody does anything wrong? Swipe a piece of candy, do a something that that is is it really hurting somebody? No, but you're taking something that ain't yours. Or, you know what I mean? Or maybe you say something about someone that's a little bit slanderous, but it ain't, and it's not like you're making it up, but you're leaking a little bit of information about somebody or something, and there's somebody that maybe you shouldn't be telling it to. I mean, there are things that, transpire in life. So, but they're not necessarily really good, and they're on morally, they're on the bad side a little bit. So one could say, well, that's some of that evil going on there, but it doesn't match to child abuse or whoopings or beatings or shootings or stabbings or even eating each other. I mean, just so there are levels of this evil. So now my new mode of thinking is we're never going to get rid of it all. So now, do I pray for the little guy, or girl or transgender somebody something, that that they will change their evil ways, that they will somehow get a, a bunk of enlightenment and go, maybe this is wrong and I shouldn't do this. And that they'll really like grow a conscience, right? That they will listen to internal things. And they don't necessarily have to be baptized or join a religion or a cult to feel that way, but at some point that they will feel remorse for their actions, like I did it, for myself. I didn't think I was hurting anybody when I really was. Um, Inadvertently and unconsciously and druggedly and drunkenly, and slovenly at times. So, I make the choice, as other folks have done, to not do that behavior anymore. To try to, can't take it back, but our future actions can absolutely be changed. So my prayers in that the folks who do really bad stuff, killings and murders and stranglings and rapes, and that can't wipe out at all. But maybe our prayers should be focused on how many of these bad mofos can we stop? Can we? You know, expose a serial killer, expose somebody's murder, that we pray for resolution, I will say, to a murder or whatever, that somebody, if they're murdering, the killer isn't caught. But anyway, so that the like petty theft in general, and I'm going to use petty theft as the venial sin if you're in the Catholic Church versus a mortal sin, which involves killing or at least heavy duty maiming and, whatever. You know, somebody wants something and blah, 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 and they're, maybe, and you slap somebody. Well, that's not the same as slugging them or hitting them with a baseball bat or shooting them, or, but you slap them. And maybe there's a little bit of slap slap. Is that evil? Well, it ain't good. Okay. But it ain't the same as a premeditated, or even if a bar fight or something where two folks get into it and one guy falls and breaks his neck or has a cardiac arrest, or you hit him too hard and he has a seizure, and you kill him or her or them or whatever. Was it premeditated murder? No. But through the violence of it all, you killed someone, whether on purpose or inadvertently. So is that evilness? Well, those are the two wolves. See, it's all related. Those are the two wolves inside of each one of us. So which one wins? It's the one we feed. So sometimes we feed the bad wolf, especially when I was intoxicated. It was easy to fall over here and fall into the bad wolf kind of thing because you're already drunk and disorderly. You know, I never was a fighter or pick, but shit would come out my mouth that would piss people off. And, the next thing I know, somebody wants to slam my head into the bar, you know, just because I blurt something out. You talking to me, boy, because they're drunk too, right? And you looking at my girlfriend? No, sir, but she wants me to dance with her, and I don't want to piss you off. So they get into it, and I'm like, holy Jesus, come on now, y'all break it up, and you messing with my woman, so I quit going to bars and stuff like that, because stuff like that sometimes happens, right? So if you remove yourself from a situation, then certain situations, simply by being there, You can't get involved. You can't uh, um, have have something negative in your behavior slide off. So I drink at the house or go to somebody, but to go to a bar where I would inadvertently say something, or somebody mistake something what you're talking about. Next thing somebody wants to whoop your ass. So, but anyway, in this of the light and the dark, is it evil? Are those people who might want to whoop my ass for something I said? Because I'm a long-haired hippie dude still in these days down here in the South. Ain't I'm tolerable, but um, what? So what level of evil? All right. So my suggestion to myself and in my prayers, I'm not going to worry about the little things because folks are just going to do stuff. But I can pray against the violence. So, of all of the evil in the world, rather than try to focus on all of the evil, because we have determined now that there are different levels of evilness, right? So, let's pick the worst of it. Let's pick the killing and the maiming and the raping, right? Let's, if we're going to concentrate our energy, let's try to stop them mofos. Because all this petty stuff, are we ever going to, is it ever going to go away? I doubt it. I mean, let's honest to God be practical. Is the petty stuff ever all going to go away? And I just say no, because I mean, human nature is just folks are going to do weird stuff at weird times. That's all there is to it. But does it mean they're going to rape and kill and all that? No, but somebody might plunder. Somebody might take us something. Somebody might cheat on something. And it's not good, but it doesn't fit in a terrified, terrible, we're going to hang you from the yardarms kind of thing. You know what I mean? Now, of course, back in the day, if you stole something, and depending on what you stole, if you was a horse thief, they hung you. So, but so first we determine what the evil is. So, but if in my prayers from now on, yeah, I'm hoping that there is always a prayer for them folks who are on the fence, you know. And well, I stole a little something, but I don't do it all the time, like me when I was younger. And but I don't really steal. I'm not looking to go out and steal stuff. But ooh, look, there's nobody looking and at you, and it was mine. And just spur of the moment, yes or no. Oops, it's gone. Bad choice. Bad. But I done made it. You know. And so there are times when folks do these things, but it's bad. It's a little bit of evil trying to, yeah, but you ain't committing murder. Doesn't make it right, but I'm not going to crucify you for it. You know, I can forgive you for that. I may not be able to forgive you for a murder or a stabbing or something, but I can forgive you for some of these minor things. Still evil. So with that said, two separate prayers. Our meditations to come together to meditate against those mass murderer crazy folks. And hey, Miss Sheila, good morning to you too. So that our frustration that we can't stop all evil, it ain't gonna happen. But could severe evil be took out? Okay, you know, let's work on that. And our prayers be, Let's move it off of we're going to get rid of all of it to let's get rid of the really nasty, shown up bad shit. We're going to pray on that, brothers and sisters. You hear me? And this other petty stuff, where there's going to be a prayer there too, because we all hoping folks will, change those ways. But let's really work on the bad stuff. And so in my brain, I'm like, since I could separate the different layers of evil and can see it in the way that I've just described, I can understand where, let me work more on some of the really bad stuff. Because that's where the really bad stuff's happening, is with the really bad stuff. And then people who really do bad stuff, I mean, you get what I mean. So with that said, um, evil ain't never going to end. Let's get that straight. Period. Evil is never going to be gone in the universe because people are going to do dumb shit because they people. And also, in the yin and yang of the universe, in the balance of the universe, there can be a lot of petty stuff going on. But we don't have any killings. We don't have any rapings. We don't have any abductions. You know, we've wiped all that out, but there's petty stuff going on. Okay. Uh, Wouldn't you rather, if you had the choice, well, all the evil isn't gone, but there ain't no murders, and ain't no killings, there ain't no stabbings and mutilations, and okay, can we take that as a yeah? But all evil isn't gone. Just remember that. It, you know, it's just the lesser of two evils, but it's still there. Okay, it's still a darkness, but one could say it's a gray, you know, a gray area. So, in some of my meditations and prayers for myself and for the world, I'm like, man, I have meditated all these years. And it seems like Jesus, God Almighty, it's just getting worse. It ain't getting better, it's getting worse. What good are my prayers? Because shit's just getting worse. But here's the thing. Yeah, but I came around just after World War II. And I look back on my 70 years and I think, from what was it, 1916, 15, 16, when Ferdinand got shot and World War One was started. So from 15, 16, 17, right, we got World War One, and then a period of time, and then 1938, Poland and Germany, France, blah blah blah, and the war ends in 45. Of course, there's Japan too, and all the millions of people died in less than half a century. Okay, less than half a century. So in my lifetime of 70 years, we have not had the same type of event. Yeah, we went over and invaded Iraq, and we went over and, and did that. Not the same. Not the same. Now there is Rwanda and different places in Africa and Somalia and other places, yes. But is it as bad as World War One or two? No. Are people still being killed? Yes. In armed conflict? Yes. Is it like it was the previous 50 years of this? of this. Well, we're in another century now. But to the point, though, from 1945 to 2000, we had some skirmishes, but didn't have. And the previous 50 years had two world wars where millions of people were dying all the time. It's not the same. So, has the evil died down? You know what I mean? Has peace in the world, you know? So, from my viewpoint, because I did not live during World War II or One, through the Korean War, through the Vietnam War, which was bad and a lot of folks died, but it wasn't World War One or two, you know. Um, Still, it was bad, and I'm not trying to discount it, but you know what I mean. The amount of resources that were used and just wasn't the same. There are people getting killed now in the Ukraine and other places, you know, for lots of reasons. Some of them are religious, political, whatever, you know. But it ain't like the last 50, well, now 70 years, you know, because we're now in the, you know, it's 2022. We're going on 2023 here in a month. We're going to be in another new year, my friends. So, you know, time marches on and it waits for no man, right? I think it's something like that. But anyway, but the idea though that oh, hey Katniss, how you doing? We do not have similar situations as we did the previous 50 years of my lifetime, right? From 1945. So we should consider ourselves very lucky that we don't have anything like that. Is there evil still on the planet? Yes. Is it like it was? No. Are there still evil men and women doing weird and nasty shit? Yes. Is it the same as it was? No. So let's take a breath and acknowledge the fact that goodness is overcoming the evil. Okay? Have we won the war? No, because we're not going to wipe out every level of evil. It just ain't going to happen. No matter how hard we try, there's going to be petty theft, petty this, petty blah, 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 blah. So the answer is no. But can we get rid of things like the evilness of war and the killings and this? Yeah. And let's give ourselves a pat on the back because for the last almost 80 years now, there has been that kind of peace. Yes, I know there was the Korean War. Yes, I know there was yes, I know, I understand. But none of the wars or conflicts in the second half of the century, plus these last 20 years, 22 years into this century, which is amazing to me still. There are people who were born in this century, and to them, I really am a geezer. You know what I mean? And they're just a young whippersnapper because you know they're born in a new century for crying out loud. So, but what has evil got to do with this? Well, there's still bad stuff going on, but you got to admit it's better. So, for my complaints to the spirits about how bad it is and how evil is succeeding, and they tap me on the shoulder and go, let me show you the last 50 years, Hawkeye. Before you were born, 7 years. I was born 7 years after the war was over, right? So, born in 52. I weighed 6 pounds and my eyes are blue, you know. But I had wrote a poem back in the day. But anyway, um, but the idea, though, that it what we have experienced in my 70 years and plus in the last 70 plus 7 77 years, um, that there has not been the conflicts of the previous, not even 50 years, because World War I started in 1915 or 16 and was over by end of 1917. So, in those short periods of time, and then there was peace in between. So we weren't in constant war, but the millions of people who died in both of those world wars, though, you know, we didn't come near since then. So um, let's take a break from some of these naysayers who saying, you know, evil is going to overcome good. Okay, it's out there, and okay, there's some nasty, dirty things that are going on under the, with child, with just human abduction. Period. Okay, there's still slavery going on, and so can we stop that? Can we work on that? There are, you know, probably worldwide with 7.5, almost 8 billion of us on the planet. Of course, there are more deaths these last 2 years than normal. So maybe that population decline, with the extra people dying, is going to bring things into a more world perspective. Okay, national average, blah blah blah. Um, we gotta kill off a few more because there's still too many of us. As far as the Agenda 2020 and all that goes. So, but if we look at how much evil there actually is, we have to admit it's better than it was. It's better than it has been. Now I know we're in a different century, but I'm in my mind because I was born between the two, with the two centuries. I'm thinking in my lifetime there has not been what World War One or two was at all. As bad as the other conflicts and wars were, just they not the same. So we have succeeded with our prayers. Good has triumphed over evil. Yeah, there's still some shit going on. I admit, right? We all admit. But has good surpassed the evil part? I gotta say, yeah. I gotta say, yeah. So because of what I've just stated. So, but anyway, with that said, what time it be? Oh my goodness, was that 2:34? 2:24? What time is it? It's 1:23. Oh my goodness, I got enough to do a 20. Let me knock this around a little bit and get them. There's a couple of nice little nuggets down in there. Yeah, it is all relative. Um, you doing all right, Miss Katniss? So anyway, in this understanding about the goodness and the bad and the evil and whatever, and in trying to weigh it out for myself, because from my point of view, it just seems like every time I turn around, there's something, there's some other kind of evil going on. Well, but wait a minute, we got to compare this. Well, I don't want to compare it. That's just evil. Yeah, but hang on, Hawkeye. Sit down and shut up and listen. Okay. So then, in my ramblings of going through YouTube and internet and movies and such, you know, I saw, some of the numbers about Gettysburg, things that had happened in Georgia, how many people died at Andersonville. That's not too far, it's north of me, a little over an hour. But to the point where the Civil War here and the people that died and the blood that was spilled and the gore and the guts and the cemeteries and stuff, right? That was nasty, but that was in 1865. It was over. But so about 65 years later ish, I'm not trying to sit down and count, but um, there is, well, there's a Spanish uh, Civil War and a Cuban crisis thingy anyway, but then there's World War One. So, but in the time span between the American Civil War, and there was stuff going on with in France and around, with Bonaparte and uh, and other things. So, see you, Joe. Uh, I'm sure you need to sleep. It's not good to stay up all the time. We love you, brother. Stay safe and stay healthy. Keep a smile going. But so in this, so I was asked as my prayer goes out to the great mystery, why is there so much evil? And the answer came back, it ain't like it was. Yeah, but it's still there. Yeah, but the time from the Civil War to the time before um, World War I is like the distance from World War II to our present time. You see, because it's now 2022. There was a war between 15, 16, and 17. Well, we ain't had a world war this century like they did last century. You see where I'm going with this? So we've already surpassed goodness up to this point, relatively compared to what happened previously. So is the evil actually winning? Okay. And so the universe has told me, pay attention. Now, I know there's still bad stuff out there, and I'm still praying hard on it. But they showed me that, dude, it was a lot worse. And I think to myself, well, yeah, but no, 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 no. So, I watched a couple of things on concentration camps. And then I watched, something about, um, the Nuremberg trials and which commandant and which German women at Buchenwald and some of these other places who were really nasty and brutal to children and so forth. Good night, is be safe. Yeah, I got to go to bed here soon myself because I got a doctor's appointment to see about my kid. They took CT scans of my kidney last week, and I'm going in tomorrow to find out what the result is and how soon we can schedule the procedure to take care of this sucker because it bothers me all the time. But anyway, my blood work and everything has come back good, so um, all things are good and relative in that sense as well. But anyway, I gotta say that regardless of how I currently feel about the evil on the planet, I gotta say we are better off. Has society really evolved enough. Now you look around and they say, well, people have lost God. They need to go back to the churches. They need to go do these other things. Well, wait a minute. If you'll stop and think about it, there are a lot of people who've moved away from religion and closer to spiritualism. If the if if the naysayers and the folks who want to fill our heads with the lies and we believe it as they would like for us to do, then they contend we're doing horribly. And the reason the world is in such chaos ain't like it's been, and the different periods of time there have been wars, it hasn't been that bad. Now we got to stop and go, well, okie dokie. It's not Dave talking off the top of his head. You can look at the years and go, it's there. The statistics, right? They don't lie. So goodness has prevailed, and fewer people are going to church. So if the idea that if you don't go to church, you're going to become evil was true, then the world should be worse than it is now. Sure, there's homelessness. Yes, there's this, and yeah, but it ain't like it was. And there's 7.5 billion of us because of World War One and Two. A lot of folks died. But so there are more of us in the same amount of space as before. Some crowded into tighter spaces, but the idea, though, that so if it were true that the people who weren't going to church was going to affect the good or bad evil thingy, we should be in a world of shit right now. With the extra people, with the loss of God, and the loss of the church and its function, we as a society should be at each other's throats. We should be duking it out like the Hatfields and McCoys, and we're not. So if you look at the folks who think they're in control, and some of them big families and corporations, they kind of sort of are, in that, the agenda, 2020, there was supposed to be a large population decline. Well, with the LGBTQ stuff, fewer people are getting pregnant. And of course, with Planned Parenthood, where, they want to kill all the babies they can. So think of all the babies that have been aborted that could have been here, would have been here if not for abortion. Um, but and then at the loss of people who have been dying because they've come up with more potent drugs and crack and stuff, made it more available. Um, there are absolutely cops and folks involved in some of this shit, and don't let anybody think otherwise. But in this, so in humanity, so um, what is considered evil nowadays is that folks are spending money on drugs when they shouldn't be. There are things, people who are homeless sometimes. Sometimes it's just circumstance, okay? But sometimes they don't want to make an effort. It's too difficult, and I understand that part too. But here's the thing, though, um, that it's not necessarily evil, but it isn't good behavior. Okay. So if you're going to say, well, this person isn't productive and they just looking for somebody to give them $10 to go cheap bottle of wine, let's go get some Mad Dog. Let's go get a snort of this, or lend me $20, mister. I'm going to go get a fix. So, but whatever it is, that's not good, but it ain't killing. It ain't raiming and raping and but it's self-destruction. And that ain't good. You see what I'm saying? So the evil is still there, but instead of it being a world war with people shooting each other and chopping folks up, which is still going on in some places of the world, yes, but that basically, um, the evil that's being done is quiet. It's still there. It's the form of the homeless folks. It's in the form of the greed of people who overcharge for an apartment or a building. There's a building down in Thomasville. My friend, when she took me down to the hospital yesterday, for sale sign. She goes, "Oh my God, I wonder how much it's cost." And now it's an old house that was built in the late 1800s in Thomasville. What's realty got to do with just a minute? So she looks it up while I'm being poked and prodded and photographed. Um, I'm naked inside. Oh my goodness. Um, it reminds me of Mammoth Cave. Anyway, yeah, they took pictures of the inside of my rectum. Yep, rectum. Hell, it damn near killed me. Never mind. Um, no, I forgot where I was. Oh, she was doing the house listing. But so anyway, I'm looking at the thing and I'm like, and um, $1.5 million in Thomasville. Wow, it's a bread and breakfast, and it's it. You can stand at the neighborhood. The houses are really close together. You can almost touch the house, the space between the houses. You can get a car through it. That's about it. There are no yards. There's no front yard. It's almost sitting directly on the sidewalk. $1.5 million. And I'm like, nah, nah. So why am I bringing this up? Because to me, there's evil going on there. There's no freaking way that house is worth that much money. It's a nice house. It's up 120 something years old or more. That's not the point. It's nowhere near worth $1.5 million. Screw it. No, not in the neighborhood, not to the people that live a block and a half away. Oh, no, no, no. There's evil in that. I'm sorry. There ain't it. Nuh-uh. No, sorry. You understand that there's some underhandedness going on. Oh, because, you know, prices in LA or somewhere or something or blah, blah, blah. In Atlanta, the prices are okay. But in Thomasville, Georgia, Podunk down here, and $1.5 million for this thing. Well, it's a two-story with a large attic. It's a beautiful house, don't get, but it is not worth $1.5 million. Somebody's being greedy. Somebody, you know what I mean? Is that good? Is Does that qualify who whatever in somebody's mind thinks that house is worth that much? Seriously? There's greed, there's profit. That's no, that's not good. And then the rest of the neighborhood and the other houses and it ain't just that it's that house. Now that property value for that house, so that neighborhood now, if I want to buy a house, a skimpy little thing that's near it, now that price is going to be jacked up higher than it should be. So a house that could be worth $125,000 maybe 150 or maybe even 175 is now going to be 500,000 because it's within a block of this house that's worth 1.5 million, they claim. So that ain't good because now, unless you're really rich, you can't move within a block or two of this house because of its value. You follow me? Is that good? No, because it drives the, you know, rent around here is way overvalued. But of because of Atlanta and LA and pr- prices of properties and blah 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 and the national average, and they think they can get that shit down here. And but here's the thing, they're doing it, and they're they're making it harder for the poor people. I remember back in the day where these houses are lined up, they were damn near giving the houses away because folks couldn't afford to the upkeep and to paint them and to fix them back up. Well, somebody bought it and fixed it up and painted it. Then the price values have danced and moved around and everything. But some of these old houses, they were going to tear them down because nobody had the money to fix them up. So somebody came in and fixed it up, but it ain't worth $1.5 million because I knew some of the people that worked on the houses, and they didn't charge that much to fix them out. So all of it is profit and greed. Greed. You follow me? That's not good. It's not good for the market. Not good for the neighborhoods. It's good revenue for Thomasville and for the county because they have to pay property tax on that. But come on now, seriously? So in my discussion of good and evil, of the white and the black wolf, and the old Indian story, which of them wins? And it's the one that you feed. So in Thomasville and down there, there the black wolf is winning because of the greed of people who think that a half an acre of land with a 125-year-old house is worth $1.5 million in a small town where just what it just what seriously, we're not in Las Vegas, we're not in New York City, we're not in the mountains. It's nice down here, don't get me, but $1.5 million, there's greed there. And so for every other property that's around there, for all the other homes that are down there, that means the property values have gone up. That means that the tax structure, it means that the poor man's even more poor. That's not a good thing. So who's winning the battle? The evil and the greed. Now, it can change on a dime, and that property be only worth half as much as what they're asking for. Then a friend of mine who actually took me to the hospital yesterday is going to be bidding on a house tomorrow at an auction. And fingers crossed they got enough backing to be able to go down and bid on this house. So, but we were discussing the house and the property and how much it might go for with bidding. And after viewing the house that we drove by and she checked on while I was in the hospital or in the that procedure, I told her, I said, where right now the bid's about 85 to 90,000, because of market and what people think it's worth or expect it to be worth, it might go for 200,000. Where you might be going, well, we could go 125. That might not be enough. So is there greed there? But in people's minds, they have accepted the new terms. And that's the new evil in the system, is that this is worth this much because we say so. So are we at war with guns and nerve gas? And are we in the trenches? In a lot of ways, we are in the trenches. But it's a different kind of trench. It's a different kind of nerve gas. It's a different kind of situation. But the evil is there, just not on the same level. But people are still being harmed with, fraudulent cases. They're being harmed, um, you know, with cyber attacks, bullying people, just, you know, but it ain't like it was the first part of last century. So let's just keep that in mind and in perspective. And we can keep praying that that ain't going to happen again. And I kind of feel pretty certain that it won't. It don't mean that it won't, because they've done some stupid shit before. But I think we might be smart enough to where that won't happen again. So that's my take. It's almost 2 hours. And I probably have said more than enough. And folks are getting tired and going to sleep. And I'm gonna smoke this cigarette and close this session out with y'all. But I still hope and pray every day that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings in the universe. Because with all these naysayers and all the chaos and all the things that are going bad on this planet, I think we ought to pat ourselves on the back and go, but hey, wait a minute. We did better than our ancestors. We did better in this last, and I'm just going from 1950, but um, in the last 72 years um, plus, we haven't had a major war like we did before. I think maybe we're learning. We still have skirmishes. We still have, but all in all, we've learned some things. So let's quit bitching about how bad it is and thank the universe that we have maintained this long of a stretch in history, that there hasn't had this humongous amount of bloodletting. Now, the Ukrainians would want to differ, but it ain't the same. The Iraqis would complain, but it ain't the same. Um, is it the same as in Afghanistan? A lot of stuff got blowed up and a lot of people got hurt and killed, but it's still not the same. So let's be thankful for that and grateful and take a bow down and say, thank you, Jesus. I'm so glad that, we were in these last many years, we've been able to maintain a society that hasn't needed a grand world war. So I say to the world, let's keep it up. Let's keep up the good work. Let's keep up the fact that we decide that we would rather love one another and participate and um, cogitate before we act, and that we help and nurture, and that we have learned kindness, and we have learned a better form of a moral code, maybe. And with that said, cheers, everybody. I think we're winning. I really do. And as much naysaying and negative energy, we got to look at the positive side of this. Yeah, there's a lot of commotion and calamity and stuff, but it's not like anything that's happened before. And if you look at the weather forecast, like we got a front that's coming in down here, and there's probably some of you that might be getting some of this as it's coming across Mississippi and Alabama. It'll be with us they say around 10 or 11 this morning. But anyway, so we're expecting, maybe some severe weather. We could use some more rain. Um, but so in this expecting, we didn't get any real severe storms like, quote, we were expecting out of the tropics this year, knock on wood, but we still could have used some more rain. We did get a bad hurricane. It came through here and dumped a bunch of rain, but it didn't kill anybody to my knowledge. So we're lucky in that. So, um, are we destined all to die because of something or this and that? Well, some people did because of the hurricane. And that is a shame. But in looking at the grand scheme of things, we've had more natural disasters. That is that necessarily an evil thing? Well, what if, mankind was pushing some of these hurricanes up to these velocities for extra damage and so forth? That would be evil. But in general, if it is just Mother Nature whooping our butt, okay, it's happened before, it'll happen again. But in the grand scheme of things of good and evil, well, is Mother Earth evil that there's a storm? No. Is it bad that all those people, lost their homes and folks died and, all the stuff that goes on? I've been through hurricanes. I know what it's like. Folks are going to survive it. They'll rebuild in whatever way is necessary after this. But was it the wrath of God? Was it evil that made the hurricane the way it was that did what happened? It wasn't a good thing, but did God create it? You know, or is it simply an act of nature, a violent act of nature? But it's not a good thing for the people with all the destruction. You know what I mean? It's not listed in the good. But because it's not a good thing for the people, does that mean it's evil? You can't quantify it as that. It ain't like, you know, Hitler made a hurricane bomb and sent it into South Florida. Nah, that didn't happen. Now, maybe, some of the underground folks with the weather control and things like that, who knows, you know, now that would be evil. So all the destruction that came from that, if the hurricane was man-made, if that scenario were true, then that would be evil intent, and that would be war against humankind, um, and seeking destruction and death on purpose. So now there's an evil intent, but we don't know about that. So let's just stick with the stuff that we do know. We haven't been to war like World War One or two that happened so early on in the first part of the last century. I say we got a pretty good track record. I say if we keep up the good work and quit bitching about all this stuff and how bad it is. I'm 70. My grandmother made it to 72 or 3 or 4. So in a couple of years, if everything looks like I'm going to live for a few more years at least, unless I have a heart attack, another heart attack, and I will have beaten how old she was when she passed away. My pops died when he was 74. So then I will have surpassed him in his age, you know, and so I will have lived longer. Okie dokie for me. Um, but in that I'm in this age range now. I've already surpassed my grandfather, both of my grandfathers actually, in age. I look at that old picture on the wall over there of when they were married, and because it's an old picture, and I look at how it's just black and white and tinted, you know. It's in a really cool frame, and but I look at that and I think, you know, that was 100 years ago when they got married. Now it was 100 years ago. They got married just after World War One. Had to live through World War Two. She worked in some kind of factory making stuff for the, you know, for the armed service for the war. They had to save their tin cans. They were on food rations. Everybody was on food rations except the very rich, of course. Now we had food stamps for the really poor, but it's not like it used to be. Food was rationed to folks, and people had victory gardens because there wasn't enough food to go around. Nobody complained. Everybody pitched in. Folks are worrying about it now, about the food chain supply line and this and that, and they don't have enough. Well, then, but folks are taking matters into their own hands. There are a lot of seed companies who were out of seeds this year. The fertilizer is not being produced like it was, and just stuff. But so is that evil? Well, we went through the dust storm back in the mid 30s and stuff over here. People got displaced out in Kansas and Oklahoma and folks out there in Texas, you know, there were dust storms that, you know, wiped out whole crops and people's livelihoods, and people were died from the, you know, it was, we have had worse things happen in the first part of the last century than, add up all the bad stuff that's happened on this planet since. The first part of the century was the worst. So let's thank our lucky stars, because I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. Yes, there's a lot of chaos, but humanity has done better. And that's just all there is to it. Thank you, Chloe and Michelle. And I don't know who else is out there, but you know, thank you for hanging out with me. Wish me luck tomorrow. I'm hoping that the kidney, the CT scan I took last week, a week ago actually, um, will determine whether or not my the cyst in my kidney is squishy pussy, which I can take out with a needle, or if it's fibrous, they're going to have to go in and surgically remove it, cut into the kidney, and take it out, which is a, you know, a lot um, more in-depth procedure. I don't care. It I I want it took care of. So, and I'll find that out tomorrow. I'll let y'all know. But anyway, in this chaotic world that we live in, we got to look back at history. That was one of the things that my spirit guides kind of pointed me to. And they said, Hawkeye, in this question of good versus evil, who's winning? We have to take into consideration. We got to look at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is that we have done better. Yeah, I'll let you know. I've been trying not to talk about my health, but basically, all my test results and all of the blood work that's been done, there's only been a couple. My potassium level is too high, but one of the medications that I take raises my potassium level. So I have to stay away from um, bananas as much as I really like them, and um, I can live with that. But I don't really have any other dietary restrictions. There was another paper that I got from my urologist, and or my kidney doctor, and I'm gonna ask my urologist tomorrow what it means. But it said my CO2 level was low, and something else in my bloodstream was a little high, but it was still well with, it was like, 25 to 45, and my reading was like 47, you know. And so, I mean, it was high, but like by 2 or 3 points. So all my blood work and everything has come back thumbs up. So I'm pretty damn healthy, other than my problem with the kidney and problem with my back. And the spine doctor got in touch with me today, and they're sending paperwork out, and we'll see about getting me scheduled. So uh, everything looks good up to this point. So if my heart will stay pumping, and went on a walk and put up the trail cam that Robert V sent me 2 weeks ago. I finally got down to the woods and spread a bunch of corn out because I want to see how the deer are coming through there. They'll be doing the rubbing and stuff, and this time of year. But anyway, so with all that said, then you know we need to keep on smiling and profiling. The things that people want us to be depressed about, we shouldn't be depressed about, because we are doing a better job as a society. We have made progress. Yes, there's some crazy shit going on, without a doubt. But even with the crazy, weird crossover, cross dressing, some of the weirdness that is going on, that seems like these folks must be aliens. All I got to say, the way some of these folks dress and want to act. Whew, I'm just saying, I was outrageous in the day, but these folks are just, I wouldn't be caught dead with some of what some of these people wear and think is is good and all that. Oh my God, please. I'm so cute. Really? Seriously? You got rings through your lips and through your nose and out your ears and tattoos all over your, and then you say, "Look how pretty I am." And I just go, I'm sorry. Take off some of the hardware. I might be able to put up with the tattoos on your neck and on your face. I'm sorry, that just isn't beautiful to me. Um, Okie doke. But I give him the benefit of the doubt, and that, a face only a mother could love. You'd have to be a mother to love that. Never mind. Um, but anyway, I do continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings in the universe. And let's hope that ET don't blow up the planet, because that's one thing we just really don't know how that's going to work. But there are earthquakes, there are storms, and some of these can be created um, by other means, and it ain't Mother Nature. So keep that in mind. Stay away from the ocean certain times of the year. Get the hell away if a storm is coming, for goodness sake. Be careful. This line of thunderstorms that's coming through right now, I haven't looked at the radar, but it should be Mississippi, Alabama. There was some bad weather in some of them thunderstorms. So y'all be careful out there. So I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings in the universe. Because we are winning. There's a lot of good evidence that we're winning with the positive attitudes that we have. Thank you, Katniss. I will. I don't have any problem with resting. And tomorrow's going to be simple. Just we're going to discuss how the operation's going to take place on my kidney. I'm not worried a bit about that. It can be done as an outpatient, and so I shouldn't have anything to worry about that. But I do want it took care of. It'd be nice to have it done before Christmas, if that's possible. So have keep your fingers crossed tomorrow that the news that I have will be that it's going to be the easier of the two procedures. But either one's fine with me. I'm good with it. I've done my homework about it. It's really not that hard. They can lay me on a table and go in through my back and cut a little incision. They can do so much now with this microsurgery. It's unbelievable. It's just the idea that they're going to be cutting into my kidney. Thank you, Chloe. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got good confidence. I had a good chat with the doctor. He's an intelligent black man that seems to be on top of things. I've talked with the kidney doctor down in Thomasville. He knows the guy and was happy that I was referred to him and not somebody else. That was a good thing. Oh, you're in with Dr. Harrison? Yeah. Wait, urology. Yeah. Emerson E. Harrison is the gentleman's name. And so my kidney doctor was like, "Oh, he's good." And I was like, "Okay, good." So if the kidney doctor is like, "Yeah, the urologist dude is spot on," then you should be, in good shape, Mr. Null. Thank you. Good. So, how that sort of worked out with referrals, and that he was supposed to have made the referral and didn't. I called my doctor and they made the referral to the same doctor the kidney doctor was going to refer me to. So that worked out. There's some karma in that. But anyway, thank you. Yeah, I'm not asking for prayers, but I am sending them out, hoping that, I've been like trying to talk to my body and go, all right, what have you got? Is it squishy or is it hard? Let's keep our fingers crossed that it's squishy, and that'll just be the easier of the two procedures. And so the other thing, though, and I got therapy tomorrow afternoon too, but that's not a big deal. Um, and then I'll only have one more week of therapy after tomorrow. Um, but it might take till March before I can see the spine doctor. That's how backed up they are. Oh, holy crap. But the nurse lady said that, of course, if we have any cancellations, we'll call you and see if we can get you in sooner. So, okay, but March? Wow, you know, that's a long way out to have to worry about being able to see, a spine doctor. But anyway, so thank you all very much. Have a good rest of the week. Um, I was hoping that I was going to be able to do card readings, but I had to go do that prep and everything over this weekend, and that it just turned out it horrible. 18 hours worth of just whew, no description. But so I don't have any procedures scheduled, you know, until later on. But I want to be able, I still want to do card readings. So hopefully now that, this colonoscopy is over, um, I'll do card reading soon. So keep your fingers crossed for that. I love you all. And as I've said several times already, I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, and the wisdom from the universe. And when we have to look at the bigger picture of all the chaos and everything. We can say, you know what? It could be worse. Let's look at history. Let's look at how we've progressed. Some would say we have digressed. Okay, in some ways, um, with the degenerates and some of their stuff, but is it as bad as it was or has been or could be? Or there aren't millions of people dying from mustard gas, or just saying. So I love you all. Have a great rest of the week, and cheers. Keep the faith and believe, 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 believe. And until next time I see you all, ta for now from South Georgia, and from Duggar as well. See you later. Cheers.